Name is Juanita Kaplan. I'm in Florida, and this is my first time a mom. Um, we chose home birth after going to the doctor or to the OBGYN and realizing it wasn't for us. Um, we just didn't feel heard or part of the process. Since the beginning, there was some disconnection. We're big in the holistic and natural world. My husband healed his Crohn's disease with an IVS through like dieting and taking care of what he was putting in his body. Um, and he went to remission. Now he's fully healed. And even though we trust doctors and we know that they are doing their job, sometimes it's not in their best interest to do what's best for us. They just follow protocol and practices. And that's what we noticed in the OBGYN office. Um, when we went, it was like waiting so long in the waiting room and then seeing the provider for 5 minutes and being on our own to do the rest. So we looked for midwives in the area and we found Midwives 360. It was this practice that has been for so many years in Florida, and all the reviews were amazing. All the families that they have helped had vouched for them for the amazing care they give. And we booked an appointment. It's like ask all the questions you have. Let's find out if we're a good fit for each other. And we asked for an hour questions back and forth, and we realized that we felt heard and taken care of, and we knew that that's what we wanted for our daughter. And we start care with them, and every appointment felt even better. They will give you all the tools for you to make the decisions, and they wouldn't judge or they wouldn't push anything on you. Um, it's just like they will be right there with you every step of the way. And that's how we felt and how our daughter came to this world. And it was just perfect.
Awesome. And can you talk a little bit about you choosing that decision and resistance that you had from other people in your world and how you decided to stick with your intuition and what you felt was the best decision for you and your baby?
Right. So my mom is in the healthcare world and my sister too. And they couldn't believe that I would put myself and my daughter in that risk. They always saw it as, what if something goes wrong? And it's your first time giving birth. You don't know what can happen. And I couldn't feel that way. Like I felt that this was the right way and that it was the safest way. Mainly because back home in Colombia, it may be a little bit different. The health uh, care compared to US, but also because it was like where our heart was. And when I told them like, oh, we found this amazing midwife, they were like, but you're still gonna go to the hospital, right? And I'm like, initially I thought about it, and then I was like, no, we're gonna have a home birth, a water birth. And they were so shocked. And then when anyone in the family will ask, like, oh, what hospital are you going to? I stop answering or saying our backup plan, or not backup, but even the midwives have a protocol that is like, okay, the closest hospital that has the labor and delivery, and we had one like 10 minutes from us. So that was my answer every time someone asked, because I was tired of people pushing back and giving me all the, I don't want to say like bad energy, but like what ifs or oh you better not need it like to go to the hospital or like, so I felt like some it was coming some shade our way that wasn't necessary. And I was like, for my mental peace, I'm just gonna just not say it. And that's something I saw on Instagram. A lot of women said like, don't share your due date, don't share your birth plan with people that doesn't need to know. and I stopped doing that. And I was really glad that I stopped sharing my due date because everyone will be at work as well. Like I said, just like, oh yeah, next week or oh, in 2 weeks or beginning of May or things like really like open, nothing like set. And also because you have a two plus or minus 2 weeks, like or more or less for birth. So I was like, first time moms always mostly goes past their due date. I am gonna set myself to a week after. So if I'm feeling like this is not dreading too much. So with my family, it stopped being an issue when I stopped oversharing.
Wow,
And I
that's
was like,
really profound. Yeah.
yeah, and it was like, they are my family, but
Hmm.
who make the decision is Zach and I. And
Hmm.
we were the ones that were gonna go through it, like through the process and through deal with the results of our choices. So something that it was like hard was listening, like people telling us like, do you want your baby to die or do you do you want to put yourself in danger or like unnecessary risks? And I'm like, that's exactly why I'm doing a home birth. Like
Hmm.
that's the reason I'm choosing what I'm choosing, and I am gonna avoid the chain of cascade of interventions that the hospital wants, and being overcharged for procedures that I didn't even need, or like being pushed to do stuff because if my own family told me like, do you want your baby to die? Someone that I don't know in the hospital is always going to push that same narrative. And I read so many birth stories that women will say like, when a doctor told me that, I just gave in because what mattered the most for me is my baby, and I'm not going to risk their life. And I was like, I know the risks and I know the procedures, and I'm not going to just give in to whatever. And I don't need to advocate for myself in the most vulnerable moment if I don't have to. Like, why am I gonna put myself in a situation where I'm gonna not be comfortable? Like, I have everything at home to do great, and I have the professionals and the providers that are gonna give me the service I need, and it
Yeah.
felt right. So we are so glad we took the decision we did, and now after everything happened, a lot of people have been supportive and kind of admirable of us or like proud. They're like, "Oh, we're so glad you did what you did. You guys were amazing. How you stick to what you wanted, and it was like the perfect end or the perfect story." That of course before they had all these things to say, and now they just have nice words
And I
instead of
think
they support us when we
admiration.
need it.
Yeah, yeah. I think admiration is the perfect word though, because so many people never do what you did. They don't make a decision that feels right for them and shut out all the outside noise and stick with it. So I think it's very natural for people to admire you because they haven't experienced that themselves yet. And it's
Yeah,
like you've inspired them hopefully to do that in some way in their life. It is such a wide lens for the impact that you making that decision can have on other people. And I also think like your point on the perception of risk is super important here, especially looking at home birth and birthing in the system, or birthing in a hospital setting. Because like you said, there's risk in the hospital setting that some of
yeah.
us perceive very differently than the way risk is seen for birthing at home. So I think that's like really important for women to hear. Um, let's talk about your manifestation journey. And if you could start by just talking about the beginning, when you decided, like, this is what I want to experience, what were like your few three words or whatever that you decided to use to set your intention for the birth? Like, what did you want to experience in the beginning of your journey before giving birth?
Well, since I started like when I saw your birth story and I saw in the comments that you had said what you did to like achieve your birth, and I was like, wow, that's so powerful. And that's when I reached out and I was like, can I get the podcast you listen to?
Hmm.
Um, and then starting working with you and the blissful kind of intention or this
Hmm.
world that before I was like, bliss, but you don't put like a deep meaning to it. And then that kind of stuck. So I was like, that's one of the main things we're gonna work towards to. And then the calm or pay a like calm, relaxing, or like this sense of like serenity. Like when I saw those videos of all the women, like some of them didn't even make a noise, and I was like, what? Because you always see in the media or in the movies they yelling and pushing and screaming, and I was like, I'm not afraid of like making noise, but at the same time, it felt so right to be in that state of mind where everything just flows. So I was like, I want to be that calm and feeling like that
Hmm.
during my birth. And another word, uh, confidence or trust, like
Hmm.
trusting my body, trusting my baby, trusting my decision, um, and that our bodies, both on my babies, will know what to do by instinct. Like I just needed to like surrounded myself
Yeah.
to let it happen. Like stop like holding and letting go so things could happen.
Yeah, the surrender. And this is like a huge part of your story. The trust was key for you. So then we can fast forward to you discovering your baby was in breech position. And at first, we were like, okay, well, we can see, can we flip her into the position that we believe she's is supposed to be in? And so, can you just quickly go through the things that you tried to flip her? And then we'll talk about your
Right.
transformation of perception and mindset.
So we pretty much try everything. I was like, because my midwives were okay with her being breech, and
Hmm.
that gave us like some relief. But at
Hmm.
the same time, in our mind, what was right was her to go head down.
Hmm.
So that also brings some challenges with my family again because they were like, okay, now first you were taking risk, now you're taking extra risk.
Yeah.
And you always heard how breach is not common or like
Hmm.
a few every once in a while, but when you're in those shoes, you find out there's a huge community and it happens more often than you know.
Hmm.
The thing is that every day in the OBGYN office is an automatic C-section. Like
Yeah.
they don't even think it twice because doctors are not trained to do it. And it may be harder, but at the same time, it's easier. Like my midwife was like, once the baby start coming down, we can maneuver in case something is needed. If the baby is coming head down, you have to wait until the head is out to be able of doing anything.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, then I'm doing the easy way. I mean, the easy way. And that also made it really easy in my mindset. So what we try was like initially manifestation, like the podcast or like the um, recording you gave me was great. And something, I'll be maybe back to it, but something that really set up the tone was that you use the word that the sentence like she's in the perfect position to be born, and that started opening my mindset that the perfect position to be born, it doesn't have to be head down, it can be just the right way, like she can be head a butt down or feet down and she still will be born perfectly. And so we tried that and like Reiki within all of that. Like I'll put like some recordings, do deep breathing or like the not the mile circles, but the spinning babies techniques, um, like the inversions and the pelvic tilts. Um, I did Moxie on my pinky toe. I did pulsatilla, some little things on like pills kind of thing under my tongue. I did the cold ice pack on the top of the belly and warm in the bottom. Um, and we actually tried the ECD, like the massage to get her to flip, and she moved, but she didn't flip. Like they were like, okay, she's stuck, kind of. And I did chiro, like I did Webster technique with my chiropractic. So it was like we went to the pool and did swimming and did headstand, handstands, and then what else we did? I think that's pretty
And
much it.
and this was a lot over the course of like 2 weeks.
Oh
Like
yeah, we
you
find out
did
she was split 36 weeks.
right. And you did it like you did everything that you could
Yeah.
possibly think of. And
It
so I
was
think it's
like,
really important that what other than me saying maybe she's in perfect position, but you after the ECV did not work, you just fully, I remember you texting me saying, I think I'm just gonna go with it and
yeah.
accept that it's gonna work out perfectly. And so
Yeah, because
what was that moment? What was that like to surrender to the idea that maybe she is in the perfect position for herself and for you?
it was challenging because um I kept thinking as soon as I stop trying things, she's gonna flip on her own. And then I was like, you're stubborn like mommy. Like you're gonna do it on your own time. Like you're just resisting it because we're trying it. And
Mhm.
sometimes there were days that I would be like, okay, I'm not doing anything today because you can do it by yourself. And then there's the stories of women that the baby flip, they were head down and they flip on the 39 week,
Yeah.
or and then they were breech, or that during birth they flip and they were head down.
Mhm.
So I was like, you can be breech till last minute, but it kind of can be just you, or you're just stubborn and you want to do things differently. And
Mhm.
the only thing we can do is support you. So I will have like these long conversations with her when we were like doing the meditations or the walking or whatever we were doing. I will always like talk with her and like tell her like this is why we want you to flip, but at the same time we want you to do what you feel is right and what you're prepared for.
Yeah.
So like we support you. And in that process, it was like when I was making my own decisions in my life, and my parents will give me like resistance, I'll be like, you taught me right. Like now you need to trust that I know to make my own decisions and follow my life, whatever it is. And I was like, I'm gonna do that for her. Like I'm gonna trust that she knows how to be born and it's an instinct, and I just need to stop trying to control her decisions and push her on the right way that I believe is. And I was like, why do I believe this is the right way? Well, because that's what everyone does and society thinks and the doctors push on you. And I was like, okay, hands off, keep worrying and stressing about it. It's not going to be good for my blood pressure or for the baby or for the birth. So I just needed to like let go. And that was also something that I was preparing for birth. I was like, during the birth, I need to let myself go and trust the contraction. So I just need to start doing it from since a little earlier. So yeah, because it was like we find out at 36 weeks, and I delayed the ECV for like 2 or 3 weeks, trying to do all the natural stuff,
Mhm.
and then I was like, okay, 39-week hit, we're just gonna let it go. It's up to you to decide. So
Yeah,
that's
you
wild.
fully, I think like that's also gonna be so impactful in like your and Sophia's relationship. It's gonna be really magical to know that you gave her that trust before she was even out of your womb. Like that is such a rare occurrence for most babies.
Well,
And
like we need to set this relationship to a great start from the beginning.
exactly, yeah. And that's such a important part is to bring babies in to this environment, but having that trust or the sense of trust there early on. Like that's something that a lot of people don't point out. So that's really beautiful. I think this is the perfect segue to go into your birth story if you want to just start from the beginning. And I'm sure everyone who watches this is going to be really excited to hear if she came out head down or breech or what. So take
Yes.
it away.
Okay, so my birth story. It started it on I'm gonna say May 2nd on Friday.
Okay.
When everyone was leaving the office at work, I said goodbye to many of them. My due date was May 1st, so I was already one day past, but no one knew in the office because I started saying, "Oh yeah, next week,
Hmm.
next week. Every week will be next week," and no one kind of pushed it. So I was like, "Yes, better if they don't ask." And everyone was like, "Oh, so you're gonna just break your water here? Like, what do we do? Everyone's gonna freak out." And I'm like, people, after your water breaks, you don't go to the hospital right away. The baby's not gonna be born within 30 minutes. Remember, if I'm okay, you guys can relax. So everyone had like my husband in a split dial kind of thing. And when I left the office and everyone was saying bye, I was like, well, we'll see you on Monday, or maybe not. But I was joking,
Hmm.
and and then I woke up Saturday morning, 4:30 in the morning, with a contraction, and I was like, is this what it is? Because I hadn't had like a lot of contractions.
Hmm.
I mean, I didn't have any before that. So I was like, I think this is what it is, but let's wait it out. So I started like, I tried to go back to sleep and it didn't work. They were like every kind of 5 minutes. And I was like, this is too close together. And I always wanted to be like, in my manifestations and my dream births, I always said how labor was going to be short, or I wasn't going to like be in a slow active labor, but it was gonna go fast. And I was like, 5 minutes apart contraction, this is kind of quick. So I couldn't fall asleep. I came downstairs and I started cutting a watermelon that I had prepared for my labor. And I was like, yeah, I still can breathe through them, so this should be fine. So in the cutting process, I woke up my husband. The stainless steel cutting board wasn't the best decision. So he came down and he's like, "Are you okay? Like, this isn't something normal that you will do." And I'm like, "I think I may be in labor because contractions are kind of 5 minutes apart." And he's like, "Okay, what do I do?" And I'm like, "Well, right now we can call the midwives and tell them that we think it started." And he was like, "Well, then let's do that." So I called and I was like, "Hey, I think I have contractions every 5 minutes." And they were like, "Okay, time them and send us like a log." And now we know that you may be in labor, so we're gonna be like keeping an eye on you. I sent like my contractions like at 6:30, and everything was like still fine. So they checked on me a few times, and they checked out again like at 8 a.m. And they were like, "Do you want us to do like a service check, like a wellness visit?" And I was like, "Sure." So they came and they checked my cervix, and I was a little bit dilated. I was like, I think 2 centimeters, and they were like, "Well, you still can have some time before anything happens, so just keep your day as you would." And I was like, "Okay." I wanted to get maternity pictures, and I hadn't do it yet because I was like, I'm still having another week because I'm gonna be at 41 weeks when this happens. And I was like, okay, babe, now we have to do that. So I put on my maternity dress for the photo shoot, and we went to the beach. It was like from 11 to 11:30 that we went to the beach. And my husband was taking the pictures with me with the big bump and everything. And in between pictures, I was getting contractions. And he was taking pictures of me, and so I have like a few pictures, but I'm like breathing through them. and it was funny, but it was like such a good memory to look back at.
It's like my favorite part of your story because one, it just shows women are freaking incredible. Like that is like the prioritization of the photos is so hilarious. And also like they turned out so wonderful. You would never have any idea that you were in labor in those photos. So
Yeah. So I'm like, I need the memory or the for her to look at how mommy looked right before she was born. Like, I mean,
literally.
I could have done it a week before and it would have been fine because it was like the biggest point of the belly.
Mhm.
Um, but what I and I'm still surprised that the belly was big, but for how big I think she was, the belly wasn't as big, right? Or I don't know. Maybe in my mind I'm just like gaslighting myself. And then we just went 30 minutes to the beach and we came back home and I was still getting contraction and I was like, I'm kind of getting tired. I have been awake from like 4:30. Let's take a nap. I lay on the couch. I couldn't fall asleep. I went upstairs. Zach was making a steak for lunch. Um, but while I tried to sleep, it was like 3:30 when I had contractions in the bed and they were like kind of getting strong. And I felt the strongest contraction till that moment. And when the contraction was easing up, I felt like a balloon had exploded in my leg. And I was like, babe, my water just broke. And he was like, okay, now we have to call the midwives. So I texted him and I was like, hey, the water is coming out. And it was like, it felt like so much, but at the same time, because I was already in the bed, I couldn't see a big amount of water. And it feels like so much, but at the same time, it's just a few drops. I mean, not drops, but like a few strings. And they were like, okay, we gave you some pH strips, test it. So we tested it, and it was like the amniotic fluid. So I was going to the bathroom, like emptying my bladder and my gut, and I was getting a little pinkish, like blood, but it wasn't like dark, or there was no actual color to the water. It was like because they always tell you water breaks, check for taco,
Mhm.
and I was like, there's no I forgot what taco stands for. Like
I have no, I don't know either.
okay,
I
well,
mean, I
it's
didn't
like
really pay attention to this stuff.
the point is that it was good. There was no meconium on the water, so we could wait for 24 hours after the water breaks without any issue.
Mhm.
So and then around like 4:30, my midwives arrived to the house. So it was around an hour after my water broke.
Mhm.
And they offered me a cervix check again, and I was already like at 8. So it was like, wow, you have progressed significantly.
Yeah.
And they did the Doppler, the baby's heart rate, and everything was fine. So they were like, okay, now let's just start setting the birth tub, filling it up with water. Um, and then I think I was already in the water by like 6 p.m. So my
Mhm.
husband, I would like take pictures every once in a while to like get the memories. And from that, I also have the timestamps. So because in my mind, it felt like forever, but at the same time, it felt so quick because Zach said, you were so far gone. Like it kind of amazed me and at the same time worried me a little bit because I could see you were like in discomfort and pain, but at the same time you were just like going through it. So there are a few pictures where I'm like just laying on the side of the birth tub or just like rocking myself in the water. And it was like from maybe 6 p.m. I have a picture at 6, and then I was in the water still by 8. So it was like maybe 3 hours of labor in the water, and it was great. And Sag was before that, Sag was squeezing my hips in the contractions, but when I went in the water, it was a little bit harder for him to squeeze me. But we put a warm cloth on my lower back, and it was like amazing. It was like doing kind of the same thing. And the contractions were getting stronger, like shorter in between, but oof, like the intensity was going up. So at around after 8, like between, they saw that while I was like pushing, and they're like, if you feel that you're bearing down, just let us know, because this bridge, we want you to be in the bed, because in the water it's harder to maneuver, right?
Mhm.
In case it's needed. And I was like, that was something that I didn't more over, because I did wanted a water birth, but in this case I was like, this is the best of the
Yeah.
in the situation I have, and I understand that, and I'm okay with being in the bed. Okay, so I was pushing in bed by 7, but 8:10, I was already pushing in bed, and the baby was born by 8:28. So it was 20 minutes of pushing,
Mhm.
like actively um, getting her to come out. And I could, while I was like, um, and in every contraction, I could like push between 3 and 4 times.
Mm.
And I would like breathe through it, like remember to open my hands, because I was like grabbing a pillow. I was in all fours, and I would like rocking myself, and like I will grab the pillow and remember to let go, or like to relax my body. So I will like open my hands, and I still like push, kind of. And I didn't want like to push a lot, because I was like, the ring or fire, or like um tearing was kind of a little bit of a thing that I wanted to avoid, or it was a fear initially, but because we walked through it, and I knew that it was something that could happen or not. So I was like, let's not focus on it, so it won't happen. And I remember the
And it didn't.
discomfort.
It didn't. That's
Didn't.
important, which is crazy. Okay, go on.
Yeah. I remember the discomfort of the maximum point of stretching,
Hmm.
because she came butt first, so they could see her butt, and then she started peeing and pooping because of the compression of the birth canal. And then her first leg came out. I think it was the right leg, and then the left leg came out, and after that, her torso, and then one hand out of another. Everything, like she was in and out in a matter of 7 minutes, 5 minutes. And after her torso was out, the head maybe hang for like 10 seconds, and then it came out. But it was like so easily that I was like, I have seen all these videos, because that's one of the big things when we find out she was breech. They were like, you need to watch the videos and familiarize with what can happen, how can she come, and there are different breech positions, right?
Yeah.
So you need to like be ready for whatever, because you're not gonna see it, but you're gonna feel different things. So, and I was like, okay, many options. Let's see what Sophia wants to do. And um and with the head could get stuck, and that's when
Mhm.
they would have to maneuver her. But afterwards, my midwife were like, she was like a by the book bridge baby.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay.
Congrats.
She said congrats, because the baby came and rotated by herself in the right way at the right time, like everything. And they were like so amazed, because the breech, like the midwife that mostly take care of breech babies wasn't in town during that weekend, and she was gonna be back on Monday, and I was like, Sophia, you just have to wait till Monday. But she was stubborn, so she came on Saturday, and she was on a video call, and everyone was like waiting for see like to see if she had to guide any like procedure or handling or whatever, but it wasn't needed, because Sophia was just like perfectly breech delivery. And so her torso came out, the head came out, and then they just hand her forward to me, and I could just sit back and she was right there in my arms by like 8:35, and it was like a matter of minutes that everything happened, and she was already in my arms, and I'm like looking at this baby looking at me in the eyes. Her eyes were wide open, and I'm like, oh my god, you're here. Like everything that we have been waiting for 9 months and working hard towards, it's here. And my husband was right there, and he was like massaging my back, and I look at him and I'm like, oh my god, I think she has my sister's eyes. That's the first thing I thought, because she has these wide eye open eyes, and the light was like shining on her, and that's the first thing you could see. And I was like, oh my god, like she's here. And then one of the midwives was like, because Zach was like taking a picture of me with the baby,
Mhm.
she was like, let me take a picture of you three. So we have that picture by like 8:42. So it
Wow.
was like within 15 minutes of being born, we already had our
Family
first
photo.
family of three picture. Yeah.
And what do you hope for other women to think before they go into having birth or giving birth, and what you hope that they can get out of it?
That you can change providers anytime. You can say no. You can um, change your mind. Like there are so many things that we are scared of because they tell you that you can do or that you shouldn't, and it's definitely not that. Like it's okay to feel scared and to not know what to do, but don't let anyone guilt trip you to make a decision that is convenient for them, that not because it's like the right choice or the only option. Because if I believe the OBGYN, my only option was to deliver by C-section. And I knew something, and it was that I was not going to have a C-section no matter what. So it was like, that is just in the case something like really wild and crazy will happen. And it was like, we're not there. Like, we're low risk. We don't have any history of anything in my family or in mine's history. So there's no need to believe everything that they say, like close eyes. Like, yeah, you trust the doctors, but you also do your research and you make your own decisions because they have their own agenda, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And the only one that is going to know what's best for you, it's you.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't apply for everyone. Like everyone has different um, experiences and decisions and things in their life that will take them to make a different decision. That doesn't make them a wrong decision. It's different experiences. Um, so yeah, just keep an open mind. Like
Yeah.
I always, in my manifestations and visualizations, I always remember Sophia being born in water, head down first, and I will like lift her. And it didn't happen like that, but the essence of it was still the same. She was born in the same room that I visualized her being born, not in the water, but in the bed, and not head down, but butt first. But then she was brought to me, and I hold her in my arms, and she was safe, she was fine, she was complete, she didn't lack anything, or she didn't have any health issues. And everything was because I was at home, I was relaxed, I was calm, I had all this labor and low lights and non interventions. I felt safe, I felt secure, I had like my support system there. So there were like all these things. And another thing that was like hard, it was like at the beginning, I always thought my mom was going to be at the birth. And during the process and them not being on board with all the decisions we were making, I decided she was an unnecessary factor on the stress levels that I needed to handle. And that's why we decided her to come a week after birth, right? Because it was like I need to feel confident that everyone in the room is gonna stick to what we decided and that it's gonna contribute to the past and the peace and the quietness and um, being on board with it. And I know she was gonna be stressing out and being like, it's been too long, the baby's not coming down, or oh, they cannot find the heartbeat. Oh, there were a few times where they couldn't find the heartbeat, not because it was gone, but because she was coming down the birth canal and she was like moving and rotating, and I could feel her moving, so I wasn't worried or stressed. But the midwife is like, we need to like hear her to know that the range is fine. So that was uncomfortable to getting stay still till they could find her while I was in a contraction and I needed to like rock myself or something. But I knew that my mom present there would play against my dream birth. And her presence during my postpartum journey has been essential. Like, she's been the most wonderful and amazing mom and grandma. But in that moment, that's what I needed. And it was hard for her to understand initially, but she respected it at the end. And that's something any women need to be okay with. Like, your decisions for you and your family may not sit okay with everyone in your family or friends, but you need to stick with what you think, you believe, and you feel because you're the one that's gonna go through it. So it's challenging. I'm not saying it's easy, but not always the right way is the easy way.
Yeah, I think you could teach a course on setting boundaries because you handled it with like such grace, and you also showed how it works in your favor when you set boundaries. I feel like your mother's presence now has been so great for you, and your bond has been really strong. And I also want to like acknowledge your mother giving you a positive outlook on birth, even though she disagreed with your home birth. I remember when I first met you, you said, "Oh, my mother like never really said anything negative about giving birth." And I think that's so important, and that we all, to our daughters or young women, show that birth doesn't have to be negative. It can be a very positive experience. And the first thing you said to me after your birth was, I'm just glad that I didn't have a traumatic first birth experience. And I think that's the key to changing this birthing world, is taking or preventing the trauma that a lot of women unfortunately endure during birth. Um, Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate it. This has been like the most wonderful journey watching you, and I'm so excited to see you as a mother now.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and working with you really helped and supported the whole journey because it's like you had your own experiences that sometimes we need someone else to like guide us through the options, the possibilities, and your both stories are different from each other. So like you have some perspective and different uh like occasion like situations that can happen.
Mhm.
So yeah, your knowledge and your wisdom has been really key for me to like feel confident and also ask in this kind of safe environment. Like when I was like, I didn't thought about it, and my family asked me like, what happened if you poop in the water? And I'm like, I have no idea, but I know that Janae had a water birth, so let me just text her. And that is something that maybe I wouldn't have talked with close friends because it's like such a weird question. But in this world, we know that there are things that are not off limits because it's like natural and it's like part of the process that there's something that's gonna happen one way or another. So there's no
Yeah.
really like, yeah, no need to feel like, oh no, that's not something I can talk about.
Yeah, I just think after giving birth, it like changes your perception on everything. The vulnerability is almost like out the window. You're like, I've already been as vulnerable as I can be when you're bringing this baby earth side. But thank you so, so much for your kind words. I'm going to end the recording.